Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel.
So what I want to do is make some AIs that kind of chase this guy and kind of attack it and stuff and do different things depending on where they are in relation to it. So first we want to know where this is so that other things can detect it. So for that I'll add a tag and I'll place it on the grid. So if I grab the character and press triangle, that'll snap to the character to the grid, and then I can do the same for this gizmo and put it between the feet there, and then I'll call it player. And now other things can detect if they're close to the player. So if I make a new character and I'll tint this one a different color. So we have bad guy, oh no. And this will have like AI logic and stuff in here. So it doesn't have a player tag, doesn't need controller logic, doesn't need an auto guide. So now I'll add a trigger zone that looks for that tag, the player tag. So tag mode, and then I'll use up and down the D-pad to look for the player. And now I can adjust this to be around the center of the character. And we can make that smaller, and then you hold L1 while dragging it with R2, and that will add a fall off. So it has this detected output. If you wire that into a number displayer with decimal places, then we'll see what happens as we move around. So as we get closer, that number's going up. As we get further away, that number's going down. And when we're outside of that fall off, then it's 0. So if we click on that, it's 0 because that tag is outside the zone completely. So we can use this to decide what to do within this character based on the kind of relative distance that we're getting from this zone. So if we go and add a timeline, we're going to use this to kind of program it. And the way we do that is, if we have a value slider, this sends a value between 0 and 1 by default. We can just set it by dragging that with X. And we can wire that into the bottom of the playhead. And now that is setting the percentage of the way through the timeline the playhead is at. And then the gadgets that are in this area will be powered. So we can power something that tells this to behave in a certain way. So if we're really far away, then we'll probably want to like follow towards the character. So we'll have like a follower at this end, like that. And have a little minimum distance. So if we're too far away, we'll get closer to that same tag, so the player tag. But this will be a small value when we're further away. So we'll be closer to the start when we're further away. So let's put that down here, so that when we're far enough away, we'll move towards the character. So it's moving towards. Oh, and it's kind of floating in midair. Look. So we want no strength or damping in the up-down y-axis. And now it's just following towards it. But it's not really looking the right way. So another way of doing this is use a chip. So I'm going to use instead of following, which kind of drags it towards a position, we're going to use the same stuff that a normal puppet has. So it has a puppet interface and it has a walk input, and you send it a stick value, which is kind of the direction you want to walk in, and it'll look towards that direction and move in the right speed and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do that instead. So we want a puppet interface, and we can get that from gameplay gear, puppet interface. And we want to find the direction from that pointing towards that. So we get a look at rotator. We can make it look for a tag, the player tag, and have the speed to 0 and strength and damping to 0. So it won't actually do anything. It will just look for that tag, and then if it finds it, it will send out a direction. which is from there to there, the kind of arrow pointing towards it. And that is, if we split that with a splitter, that has 3 parts to it, 3 components, because this is a 3D arrow. But this wants a 2D thing, like the sticks. The stick is just up, down, left and right. It doesn't have forwards and backwards. So we need to convert this into a stick-like thing. So I'm going to wire it into a combiner to make a stick-like wire. So we can tweak that to go into the sticks mode. And then we can wire it up correctly. So this is in the order X, Y, and Z for the 3D coordinate, or the 3D direction in this case. So we want X to go into X, and Y, actually, when you push up on the stick, it will go forwards into the scene, like this direction. And this direction in the scene is Z. And Y is up and down, jumping. But the sticks don't make it jump, they make it go into the scene like that. So if we use the Z and wire that into Y, and then we wire that result into walk, and now it will walk in the direction towards the player. Like that. And it will use like these settings. And if we change like the run speed or something, then it will run faster and slower and so on. So it's turning and it's walking towards the player, which is good. And it will do so if it's within this range. So if I like move this closer, then when it's at this range, it won't follow anymore. But if it's further away, then it will. We can just adjust these like along the ranges and what part of the ranges we want to activate it on and things like that. Oh, but we'll have this like go until we're really close. And then when we're really close, we'll do something else. So I'll have a thing in here and a timeline with like an animation. There's currently a bug where if this is in the timeline, it thinks that it tries to use this speed or something like that, even though it's in a chip. So yeah, we want this to kind of meet up perfectly. So I'll click X on this, on clock time, to turn it into beats. And now I can have these big chunky columns. And now I can make sure they don't overlap. When we're close enough, we'll have this animation play. So I'll just have a switch going into it and have it on loop. So we'll go over here, go punch, 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 punch. And that'll also have like do some damage at a certain point. So like from there to there, it will do damage in a certain area. But we'll make it only do 1 damage, and will only affect friend. So if we make this not a friend, then it won't be affected by it. But this guy will, because he is a friend. So now the health manager will go down as it's being punched. Punch, punch, punch. And it has some effects in there by default. That's what is going on. And we'll give it like a maximum of 10 HP. Like that. And we'll just display how much health is left from the current health. So you can just see what's going on over there. Punch in, punch in. We'll also have like a force applier, which affects the friend as well. And it will shove it back, so it will be directional, pointing that direction, just in front of it there. Okay, it will need higher strength because this is a puppet, and they need higher strength to affect them. So now it's kind of shoving them out of the way as well. But I think actually instead of that, we will put this onto once mode so that it will be locked into that. If I make this longer, you can just pretend this is a longer animation. So as soon as it gets shoved out of the way, it doesn't finish off doing what it was doing. So we want to kind of, and that's because if you watch this range is changing because it's shoving the player out of the way. So it's kind of bouncing between these two states. And that's not what we want to do. We want it to just do this and ignore that until this is done. So what we can do is use a keyframe that lasts the whole length of that action to turn that timeline off. So now it can't change state. So we set this to once mode, and now when it gets powered, it will start from the beginning and play all the way to the end. And then it will stop and allow the range to be adjusted and re-trigger something. So now it'll go all the way over here. And then it'll only do something once this is complete. So then it can choose a different action. So the core thing of just having a range timeline is the main thing, and then everything else is pretty simple coming off of that.
Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.